Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 164 of my Simple Let's Play. So as you can see, my clearing operation right here at my red part of Quarry, the entire upper part which was full of blocks, the first clearing operation is pretty much completed. So I'm actually just wanted to show you guys that it's done, and I'm actually going to go ahead and move it to the next step. So it's a very simple thing to do, just take out all the glass from here, take out the actual filler, and remove the energy tesseract and simply set up the next region, which is, again, it's extremely simple to do, but as always it requires doing. So just gonna quickly do that and we can get started with today's episode. Okay, so got the nice region of space set up, so quickly gonna get energy tesseract running. It's gonna be getting my buildcraft energy, it's gonna be receiving only. The filler will be right over here, and that will be again on this empty mode with full glass. And that should be running relatively fast because I've actually increased my, the energy production have increased as a result of my previous doing in my previous episode. And by that I mean all the addition of steam engines. But actually, since I still have to wait for this entire process to finish, I actually wanted to go ahead and in this episode continue on this running theme of increasing my entire energy-related systems. So, kind of, it might be a little bit of a problem here, but it should be fine overall. Okay, so let's quickly go ahead and sleep and get started. So the first thing I actually wanted to do is actually very much related to what I've been doing in the previous episodes. So the previous couple of episodes I was setting up this system to automatically give me the option to create buildcraft gates and also automatically generate energy on demand. So a small but very slight change that I'd like to make actually as a result of what I've been doing here. Let me actually just go ahead and set it up and explain why. To do it I'm just going to need one energy tesseract. I should have one, I think. Yep. So one energy tesseract. What I wanted to do is very simply just make one of those batteries send energy on this frequency. And the reason I want to do this is actually I realized, even though I kind of knew that I was doing this, I realized that every laser uses like 5% of the total capability of an energy cell. I think every laser can utilize up to 5 microjoules per tick. It may be slightly more, but it's definitely not 100. So I realized that since I'm using energy all over the place in random places, why not just utilize some of this energy? So the way I'm doing it is simply just connecting one of those cells to an energy tesseract that it can send it as well on the frequency of buildcraft energy, in addition to the energy that I'm generating right here. So instead of kind of combining those cells, I'm simply going to have two different tesseracts that will be able to send whenever I demand energy on that frequency. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. The second thing I'd like to do is actually, originally when I created the tank for coolant, the industrial craft coolant, I kind of did it in a way that I thought it would be completely useless. But then I realized I actually might be able to use it for the combustion engines, so I'd like to actually give it a try. So to do that, what I'm going to do is not use the same color of tanks, because obviously I can't. I'm going to have to use a different color, but I'm going to use roughly the same color. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create two more of those light blue colors. However, I'm also going to get lapis as well. 2 pieces of lapis, and I'm simply going to recolor one of the segments of the tank so I can have a different color. And of course I'm going to need some liquid ducts, just 2. And I already got some redstone torches on me to actually move the liquid around. So let's create those 2 tanks and recolor both of them in the same way so they are completely different networks. So let's have it in the center be blue. So that will be a whole different liquid network. Actually, I'm pretty sure I covered it previously. The amount of different networks that you can have, whether being ender tanks or ender chests, is pretty much 16 to the power of 3. 16 times 16 times 16, because there are 16 different colors and you've got 3 segments to choose those colors. So you've got a lot of different options. I really It's probably designed more for servers in mind, like the possibility that there will be a lot of people playing on servers, so you're gonna need many different colors. And I just didn't get this Icorium plate for some reason. It's a platform, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that liquid coolant into here. And the way I'm producing coolant, it should be very quickly be refilled. I don't think I can, yeah, it's gonna be even very fast being refilled. And let's actually check whether or not I can actually use the coolant, because to be honest, I might be wrong here and I might not be able to even use it. But let's see. So let's actually, I could have just made one more tank instead of two, but that's fine. So if I place this tank right here, as you can see, no, okay, so I was indeed wrong. Was pretty sure that coolant can go into combustion engines. I guess I was wrong. But it seems to be going somewhere, or not. Yeah, and I don't think those engines are full of crushed ice or something, so that's not the case. Probably. I want to check it out though, I want to be sure. Let's create a fresh combustion engine. I want to see that indeed it doesn't work. So if I get one of those combustion engines and place it right here. Oh yeah, it does get filled up. Yeah, I knew it. I had a feeling that you can use it. So why is it broken? I don't know. I guess there is just very tiny amount of crushed ice in those tanks. A very tiny amount that's still keeping it from being filled up. So I'm going to leave the tank right here. So this tank will be using crushed ice. This tank will be using coolant. Which is more efficient? I don't know. But one of them is more efficient. Either way, it's going to be running just like this for now. So I have a spare combustion engine at the moment. One more thing, since I'm already, as I've said, in this same theme of generating more energy and making things a little bit more efficient, as you can see I have my Glacial Princess and Drone in my tank, in my inventory. Both of them are fully upgraded with all the different tolerances and all that good stuff, everything that needs to be there in order to keep them running. So I'm actually going to set up a new alveary for them. I'm going to need, I already previously took 27 of those blocks out, so I've got 27 ready. To fully complete this, I'm just going to need some panels. And probably I'd want to upgrade one of them to use the light upgrade, the alveary light block. So to create it, I'm considering actually making an automatic recipe to craft it, but it's gonna need electron tubes, which is kind of a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on doing that for now. So 5 glowstone and a golden electron tube. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. I think I might already have all the recipes. Golden electron tube, got that. 5 glowstone I should have, yep. So only 5 and just one of those alveary blocks. Not a problem. So give me 27 of those. I'm gonna need some panels. Or, how's it called? Forgot the name already. Slabs. Some slabs. And I would like to try something new. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work with apiaries, but I'd like to try doing it with alvearies. So I'm gonna need pipes. Pipes I still don't have a part of my plan logistics, kind of on purpose, so that's fine. I'm gonna need the wooden transport pipe. I'm gonna need a redstone engine. And what's going on here? An apiarist pipe. Probably an iron pipes or two and some gold pipes, which I have right here. So what I'd like to do, as I've said, something you cannot do with apiaries is actually, instead of building them on the sides, I wanted to try and stack them up. Let's see, can I stack alvearies up? I think I should be able to do it without any trouble, but I'm actually expecting trouble, so I might just very well need to change things any second now, but let's try building, see how that works. Usually what happens when you try doing it with apiaries, they will complain they have blocked sunlight. And that will basically very simply will result in the fact that they cannot operate. And actually, yep, that just happened. The alveary just shut down. You can see the multi-block is no longer an actual multi-block. So there we go. This actually cannot work. Or maybe maybe it just is directly above the layer. Maybe if I move it one layer upwards, will it work? And the reason why I'm trying to do this is simply because the way biomes work, if you go up, the biome will never change. It will only change if you go to the sides. But if you go upwards, it will never change. So I want to try and take that to my advantage and actually see that apparently if I go one layer above it, it seems to be working. What will happen if I complete the entire plane of the alveary? Will it still work or will it break? Yeah, sky obstructed. Okay, so this is a problem. I cannot really do that, unfortunately. Yeah. What if I kind of go one layer to the side, for example, and take those two out? Because I'm really trying to conserve space here while still use the same default biome, the meadows biome, or whatever biome that is. Is it fine now? Yeah, it stopped complaining. This one isn't complaining. So I guess if you have just one block available, or at least 6, it seems to be doing fine. So this way I think I can kind of build upwards. Although it will still have some couple of limitations, but for what I need right now, it seems to be doing fine. So let's do that. So let's have this right here. That will be the light block. And this will be right here. And finally, the slabs. This should now update. I hope. Should update. There we go. Updated. So this is now an operating alveary. Yep. And this alveary is not complaining, so is this one. So I guess it's fine. I guess I can do it that way. So let's just set up a way to make everything work, and I should be good to go. So this should be this type of pipe. This should be an apiarist pipe. This will be gold, 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 and this should change into iron. Like this. Okay. Just finally set it up. So I want red to be NEB. So red is NEB and black is anything. Place those glacial bees inside, and quickly I'm gonna head and sleep, and hopefully by the time I wake up they should be doing fine. Okay, so they don't seem to be complaining about anything. Ideally, I'd actually want to see the durability bar going down. In the meantime, I can set up the actual engine to extract things out of this alveary. Yep, the durability bar goes down, meaning they're doing their job, and they're doing it relatively well, I hope. So this is kind of a way to save some room, although you cannot do it infinitely because, of course, when you go higher, let's say the second alveary in this height will be kind of leaving this row 3 blocks of air for direct skylight. Eventually there will be some limitation. I guess you can find the optimal way using some math and some calculations, but this seems to be doing fine. Essentially what I was looking for is to still have the beach biome for this alveary, because building it to the side, here is still beach biome, but I think if I try building here, yeah, this is already mountainous desert, and this is kind of on the edge. I don't know. Prefer doing it like this, and it seems to be doing fine, so there is really no problem with that. Okay, let's go ahead and check on the filler on my red power quarry. Yep, it's definitely a lot faster now because I'm using the second source of energy, so that's a lot easier to do. And I actually think, yep, it cleared everything, actually. It cleared the entire thing, right? I'm not mistaken. Yep, got everything. Okay, so I was thinking on how exactly can I fix this, and I realized the only way to actually fix this, to fix the fact that my track placement and this thing are kind of overlapping, the only real solution is to actually let it run again and let it break again. But while it does that, I actually rotated this receiver right here. This receiver is now rotated and actually would not make this place any tracks. So as a result, it will continue going forward. Whenever it reaches the point where it actually intersects with the track placement, of course it will get blocked. But because the way I designed it the way I did, it shouldn't have any problems on anything, pretty much. If I really want to, I could actually take a couple of precautions. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. I could go ahead and... I don't know if I have to do it, but let's do it. I can actually coat the bottom layer of my track placement system, the bottom frame layer, with some cobblestone to make sure that any block that interacts with it will not get sticky to it, not stick. Although I don't think it even can happen, but since I don't know, doing it like this will pretty much make sure it doesn't happen. And what's simply going to happen, because the way of the logic and everything, the way it works, what's simply going to happen the way the quarry reaches that height, it will get blocked. It will keep ticking until it simply changes direction and goes to the other side. Now, of course, it will once again cause that problem that I'm going to have this layer of extra layers that kind of have this issue. But this is pretty much the only real way I thought of doing this, which is the least amount of work from my side, at least. Like, I don't have to do anything. I just have to let it run, break again, fix it again, and the next time it will be fixed, it will be working. This is kind of the best idea I tried to come up with, and I think essentially it is probably the best idea. So this is pretty much covers, yeah, I'm pretty sure that this layer will not be touched. Yeah, it's already past the solar frame, so shouldn't be any problem. Just make sure. So if I fly directly up, yeah, it will not intersect with any of those frames right here, so there shouldn't be any problem. So after all this mumbling, let's take this filler out. I don't care about the glass too much. Take this away. Can break this block if I really want to, and let's quickly make sure that there are no kind of weird blocks that shouldn't be in place. This is not too bad. And in the near future, I don't see any libraries or anything like that. Well, that's really far away. So it should be fine. So what I'm simply going to do is let it run again. The current operation is, I believe, go down, so that's fine. Let's turn it on. It should continue in the process of breaking stuff and go down, hopefully. Yep. Of course, the logic is not broken. The reason why it broke down, until now I really don't know, and I probably will never know. I can assume it was probably some error with some game lag or some sort of a chunk error or whatever that simply caused the system not to mind the way it was supposed to be doing. And the moment actually, because of the way I designed it, the moment there is this one layer that looks like this that the quarry cannot go above, it causes this cascading effect that will simply keep going forward. Like it will not get flat on this plane. It will keep going. It will go like the next layer will be looking like this, and so on. So it will keep going kind of layer by layer down. And you actually saw the way the formation of that block was set up. You saw how that looked, and that's simply by design. Like it's not intended, but that's because of the way it's designed. So this is kind of the unfortunate part, but the simple truth is this is a very simple design to get. And whoa, it just didn't go down. Okay, this is new. Let's do something about that. Turn this off. This is actually bad. I don't want any error on this side as well. It's a good thing I noticed that. Let's change direction. By simply hitting that thing, and if it goes down directly right now, it will get stuck once again. So let's go one block backwards. So that's the yellow lever. Okay, it went back twice. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, so it will have to be mining some air at the moment, but that's pretty much the only way I can fix this once again. So right now I just change direction again, it will go down. The moment it reaches the bottom layer, it will try to go down for like 50 blocks or so, or even more. But again, eventually it should fix itself. I'm gonna have to keep a close eye on this to see it works, but it should be fine now. Okay, and one last thing I actually like to accomplish this episode is actually upgrade my reactor system. Now, I haven't used those reactors for quite some time, and obviously at the moment they're not running because I actually have full amount of energy, and I'm very much relying at the moment on my lava production, which seems to be doing very well, my geothermal generators. But still, I'd actually like to upgrade it in a very small way. So far, I've been running two of those hybrid reactors, and hybrid reactors, if you don't know, are kind of a name that the community gave those type of reactors, which actually both generate energy and also restore depleted isotope cells, basically giving you some iron cells back, not iron, some uranium cells back. Now, when you use hybrid cells, it's not usually it will not be 100% efficient in terms of energy production. It will also usually will not be 100% efficient in terms of restoring depleted isotope cells, but it kind of lets you do those both jobs. Now, all of that I've just said is kind of relying on the fact that when I made them, I didn't have a lot of available uranium, but things have changed since. If I actually go ahead and take a quick look here at my applied logistics network, you'll be able to see that uranium I have a lot of. It might not be an infinite amount of, but that's mainly because my system broke down. But also something you have to keep in mind that every uranium cell lasts for 2 hours and 40 minutes or so, a very long time. So this is quite a large amount of uranium. Now, so far, every time manually, I've came here and manually changed stuff around. But since now I actually have this entire applied logistics network integrated, you can already see where I'm trying to go on with this. So let's actually, I want to do a couple of changes that will let me completely automate the process of restocking those reactors while making a couple of necessary changes. So I actually try to play around with still keeping this a hybrid reactor, like still keeping the fact that I'm going to need to restock it with uranium cells and restock it with depleted isotope cells and then import them into the system back and forth in between whenever I need to do it, of course. But from all my testing, that seems to be simply requiring too much effort and it wasn't worth the time. Now, as you can see right now, I have my item subsets filters set to reactor components because what I was looking for is actually this thing, the heat capacity reactor plating. This is kind of the components that you can place in a reactor, which is basically just a dummy thing. It has no use except for increasing the heat capacity of the reactor. It cannot be damaged, it cannot be destroyed, it has no effect on the surrounding components, and that's pretty much it. Now, the reason why I want to do this is because the current setup that I'm using, which by the way I took away from the Industrial Craft 2 forums, it's not a secret, is very stable. In the meaning that I don't need to worry about it. It completely resolves all the heating problems and it have no issues. But it relies on the fact that I'm using those 12 uranium cells, while those 3 are depleted isotope cells. So the entire thing I'm trying to lead into is I'm actually going to get rid of this row of depleted isotope cells. Basically, the way I'm going to do this is actually I'd like to let this current cycle finish. That will be the best thing to do since I don't really have those. I don't want to have those depleted isotope cells lying around. So let's do it in a very nice way. Let's disconnect this, connect this cable right over here, and simply use the energy that I have right here. That will force the system into working again, because if I didn't just do that, those MFSUs powered by geothermal generators would fill up this MFSU instead. So doing it like this will make sure that my reactor is running again. So while that's doing it, while that's depleting the last remaining cells there, I'm gonna make a couple of changes. Let's start building up the groundwork for everything to happen. So far, every time I've been making uranium cells manually, but let's change that. So refined uranium is simply made by compressing uranium into refined uranium. So I think it's time that I add the compressor recipe to do that. So let's go ahead and add that recipe. So let's take an unrefined uranium ore, I'm gonna need a couple of blank patterns. Let's just take the entire amount that I have, 16 of them, and make a custom pattern that will be like so. If you give me one of those uranium ore, I'll give you back a uranium ingot or refined uranium. Looks like an ingot. As far as I'm concerned, that's an ingot. And again, that's a compressor recipe. And then, in order to actually make uranium cell, what you need to do is combine a refined uranium and an empty cell. Now, I don't think cells I've integrated. Yep, I haven't integrated, so let's add that as well. So let's get some tin and create a recipe for this as well. I think that's a bucket, that's cells, no, that's cans, that's cells. And create the recipe for that. That's a simple crafting recipe, so simply gonna dump that in here. And finally create the actual recipe for uranium cells. So now I've pretty much separated, or not separated, completely included the production of uranium cells into my Applied Logistics network. And to actually set up everything else, what I'm going to need is get 6 of those, so 6 heat capacity reactor plating. I actually might have that recipe. Yep, I've got it, because when I was making my graviton suit again, I was integrating that recipe into my Applied Logistics network because I was using it quite often. When you make your graviton suit, the graviton chest plate, it actually requires a lot of those. So I integrated them back at the time, and at the moment the only thing I need to do is wait for the current cycle to end. Or actually no, I can actually set up the rest of everything else at the moment. So what I'm going to need is 2 import buses and 2 export buses and a bunch of cables as well. So 2 export buses, 2 import buses, and cable. A lot of cable, because I need to make my way to the actual place. I don't have an access point into the, at least not nearby. The closest available connection point that I have is my mushroom farm, and it's relatively far away. And also I'm going to need a wand, any type of Thumbcraft wand, because if you weren't here when I made it, or you simply forgot, the walls that are actually made from that my entire thing is built inside is those special Thermcraft blocks, which block anything, which basically will not be broken by anything but a wand and by the player that placed it. So it's kind of a thing here. I'm going to gold nugget, and I'm going to need a stick. And I'm simply gonna use any type of shard that I have right here. What I have most of, fire shards definitely. So let's take those and create the wand. Just a simple wand, any type of wand works. And I can dump this back inside. And let's set it up. Okay, so the way it's going to look like is very simple. Every reactor will have its own import bus and export bus. Now, I'm still going to keep this entire red power logic system, the thing that makes it automatically shut off when it's related to this redstone interface. And I'm also going to keep the thermal monitors here. There is really no reason to take them out, so they're both staying. But what's going to change is the following thing. So what I'm going to do is have an export bus, as I said, an export bus and import bus on each reactor. Now, even though the nuclear reactors are actually the special type of inventories, still any type of Applied Logistics inventory interface, whether being import, export, or the actual storage interface, you can place them on any type of block which will open the inventory. So that's not a problem if you're worried about that. So the way it's going to work, an export bus will always have uranium cell, will always be exporting a uranium cell. It will be always on and move single items, and the import bus on each one will be always on and always importing near depleted uranium cells, also one at a time. And finally, this is the actual change. I'm going to change this 3 blocks to be heat capacity reactor platings. And that's pretty much it. And the same thing is going to happen right here. So these 3 go away. Actually, should have changed the export bus to be active, always active, but either move or craft. This is important. Okay, so the same thing is going to go here. Export bus, uranium cell, always on, move or craft, and import bus, always on, near depleted uranium cells. And that's it. Now the only thing left to do is just connect it to the network. Let's find a nice way to do it. I really want to try and minimize the amount of holes that I have in my ceiling here. Again, it's all kind of a precaution in case of explosions. I want to try and keep the amount of holes minimal. Let's have the hole going right somewhere around here. Not a big deal, but we need to find some place to do it nevertheless. Let's do it right about here. Simply right click with the wand and it breaks instantly. This is the special thing about those blocks. But anything else will not break them, no matter what. I actually haven't checked how efficient they are versus explosions. This is actually the interesting part that I haven't checked, but, well, I haven't checked it, so. Okay, so let's have it running over here. As closest as possible to the actual access point. And actually, at the moment, you should actually be able to see it in action. So at the moment, both of those reactors have 3 of those near depleted cells, which are actually taking up space. And here I have 2. And they're all ready to take in some new uranium cells. So the moment I connect it, it should start happening. Hopefully I'll be able to catch it happening in real time. Okay, this seems to be the right place. Whoops. Okay. And lastly connected. And now it's part of the system. So if I come in here, as you can see, the new depleted cells were taking out and new uranium cells are being placed inside. Very simple thing to do. Very easy thing to do. And as a result of using that specific design of heat vents and overclockers, or not overclockers, overclocked heat vents, heat exchangers and component heat vents, and the change of using heat capacity reactor plating, this is pretty much now fully automatic, meaning that anytime a uranium cell is depleted, whether or not it generates this near depleted uranium cell, it will be imported if so, and if not, or if it did, the new empty space will be refilled with the uranium cell. Now, again, as I've said, this is all relies on the fact that I have a ton of uranium available. I'm using it for nothing except that, and basically uranium can be used for nothing except that. And just because I have the entire applied logistics network available to me, this just becomes so much easier. So that was pretty much it. A small thing, a very easy thing, but nevertheless something useful. And that's that. Alright, so got my flying alveary with generating some more crushed ice, while also made the current existing network right here use some of this energy for other uses wherever it's needed. Am I accepting? Yep, I'm already accepting coolant into some of those engines, but not all of them, it seems. So also changed that to use coolant, and I actually think because those engines are actually shut down for quite some time, yeah, the crushed ice production should eventually overcome this and get some more done. Alright, so as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.